Have you ever felt like the life you live is just a small fragment of who you could truly be? Perhaps you've realized that, behind the routine and the certainties you've been taught, lies something greater, silently calling you from within. You're not here by chance. If these words have reached you, it's because you're ready to look beyond the surface, to question everything you've always been told, and to finally choose to be the protagonist of your own destiny. What you're about to hear isn't just a message, but an invitation to cross the threshold of a new awareness, to let yourself be swept away by a truth that can truly transform your existence and reawaken what's most authentic within you. Prepare to feel the spark of change vibrate within you. Today could be the day everything truly begins and your story begins again with your choice. What I've told you, that your entire life has been a lie, that everything you believe about the world, about who you are, is nothing but a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep you trapped. This isn't a conspiracy theory, this is fact. The great sages have known this for millennia, but this truth has been hidden from you. The Hindus called this illusion Maya, the veil that hides reality. Plato described it in the famous allegory of the cave. Prisoners chained from birth, looking only at shadows on the wall, convinced that was the only reality. Now tell me, if you were one of those prisoners, who benefits from your imprisonment? The matrix exists, but it's not made of wires, machines, or algorithms. It's made of ideas, stories you've been told and that you've accepted without question. Go to school, get good grades, get a job, pay the bills, retire, die. This is the script, and if you dare deviate from it, you'll be labeled crazy, irresponsible, a dreamer. And while you follow this programming, someone is benefiting. The system needs you to remain alienated, distracted, exhausted, endlessly consuming without time to think. Social media inundates you with useless information. The news fills you with fear, and you continue to run on the hamster wheel, believing that one day things will get better, but that day never comes. Now pay attention. If this secret of the great sages has found you, it means you are ready to wake up, because you feel something is wrong. You have already noticed that there is a void inside you, a void that nothing seems to fill. You can try to escape, drown yourself in work, lose yourself in social media, numb yourself with momentary pleasures, but that void is still there. Because it is not a mistake, it is a calling. The ancients knew this. The Egyptians, the Greeks, the shamans, the sages of the East, they all spoke of the illusion of the physical world and the need to awaken. But this wisdom has been stripped from our civilization, replaced with a materialistic model where everything that cannot be measured or bought simply does not exist. The result? Millions of people living on autopilot, thinking this senseless race is normal, but this is not normal. And now that you have seen the truth, you can no longer ignore it. If what you've heard so far has already struck a chord with you, give me a like right away. For me, it's a sign that your soul recognizes the value of what we're sharing and that you yourself want to be part of this vibration. Only then will I know we're truly on the same wavelength. And if you'd like to concretely support our mission of awakening and growth by helping me create new, rich, and transformative content, you can also choose to subscribe to the channel. It's much more than a simple gesture. It's a true alliance of purpose that allows us to continue this extraordinary journey together. Stay with me until the end, because I'll show you exactly how the great sages have always known this secret and how you can use it to change your reality, right now. You wake up, grab your phone, scroll mindlessly. You get up in a hurry and feel that weight on your chest without really knowing why. The day begins and you're already on autopilot, repeating the same habits, the same thoughts, the same worries. It feels like everything is on repeat, like a movie you've seen so many times you already know exactly how it will end. But you don't question it. You keep going, believing that one day, somehow, everything will change. What if I told you that this feeling of being stuck in an endless loop isn't a coincidence? That this repetition isn't a mistake, but a carefully designed system to keep you exactly where you are? This happens because your mind is a pattern machine, repeating what it knows. If you grew up being told that life is hard, that money only comes with suffering, that love hurts, then those truths have been imprinted in your subconscious. You may long for a different life, but something deeper always brings you back to the same place. Because your mind doesn't care about your happiness. It cares about your survival, and what's familiar means security, even if that security is a cycle of pain, scarcity, and frustration. The worst part? You don't even realize you're keeping yourself trapped in this cycle. Every time a trauma from your past surfaces, you react the same way. Fear, anxiety, resentment, self-pity all return as if programmed, because they are. Your mind replays your pain every day without you realizing it, and that's how the victim narrative is born. The world hurt you, life didn't give you opportunities, people betrayed you, nothing ever went right. This story plays in your mind like a silent mantra, shaping the way you see yourself. You begin to define yourself through your traumas. The pain becomes part of your identity. But do you know what the problem is? That identity becomes your prison, because when you see yourself as a victim, you give away your power. You believe that control over your life is in the hands of others. The government, the economy, chance. And as long as you believe this, you will remain exactly where you are. And that's exactly how the system wants you to stay. Because people who see themselves as victims don't create, don't question, don't change. They just survive. And when millions of people just survive, trapped in exhausting routines, struggling to pay the bills, stuck in cycles of fear and desperation, the system wins. The illusion of progress keeps everything ticking. You work harder, push harder, chase success, but success never arrives. The finish line always moves a little further. You work to get a better salary, to buy more things, to pay off never-ending debts. You run, but you don't actually move forward. There's a name for this: the rat race. Have you ever watched a hamster running relentlessly on that little wheel, thinking it's getting somewhere? Now look at your life. You work to pay the bills that keep you stuck in the same cycle. You seek happiness in small doses. A weekend getaway, a new purchase, a quick distraction, only to then fall right back into the same empty routine. You're busy, but you're not moving forward, and that's exactly what they expect of you. What would happen if you stopped, if you questioned this wheel? But the system doesn't want you to do that. It keeps you entertained, gives you new distractions, keeps you tired, makes you believe this is the only possible reality. Because if you see the truth, if you realize this ride is an illusion, then everything falls apart. This is the secret the wise men have always known. But what if I told you that this truth has already been revealed, and that thousands of years ago, great masters tried to open humanity's eyes, warning that all of this, the endless race, the illusion of control, the feeling of emptiness, is just a mind game. The problem is that few people understood, few people were ready. Jesus, Buddha, Socrates, Hermes Trismegistus. They all taught the same thing in different ways, in different times and cultures, but the central message has always been the same. The world you see is not the real world. You are trapped in an illusion, but there is a way out. Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." But where did people look? Outside, temples, churches, gurus, spiritual leaders, always waiting for someone else to show them the way. But the truth is within, and always has been. Buddha taught that all our suffering comes from our own mind, which attachment, desire, and fear are invisible chains that bind us to an endless cycle of pain. But who has truly listened? And who has truly understood that the key to freedom is not changing the external world, but changing how we perceive it? Socrates challenged people, questioned their certainties, and kept asking until their logic collapsed. Because he knew that true wisdom consists not in accumulating knowledge, but in unlearning, in looking at everything you've been taught and asking yourself, what if it were all a lie? And Hermes Trismegistus, the father of hermetic wisdom, was even more direct. As within, so without. As above, so below. But what does this mean? That the world doesn't happen to you, the world happens through you. Your external reality is a perfect reflection of your internal state. Change your internal world and the external world is transformed. But most people have never understood these teachings. Or worse, they have been distorted, hidden, erased. The truth has always been there, but it was shrouded in dogma, mystery, and prohibitions. Why? Because an awakened person cannot be controlled. And this is where sacred and esoteric texts come in. The Gospel of Thomas, one of the oldest texts attributed to Jesus, contains phrases that were excluded from the official Bible. And if you read it carefully, you'll realize it teaches something very different from what has been preached for centuries. If you manifest what is within you will save you. If you do not manifest what is within you, what you do not manifest will destroy you. What does this mean? That everything you seek is within you. That the secret to transforming your life has never been external. The hermetic teachings say the same thing. The Emerald Tablet, one of the oldest texts in the occult tradition, speaks of transmutation, the ability to turn lead into gold. But this has never been a matter of physical alchemy. It has always been a matter of mental alchemy, taking the heaviness of your conditioned mind, weighed down by limiting beliefs, and transforming it into something pure, elevated, awakened. And science, as much as it has tried to ignore it, is beginning to realize that these masters were right. Quantum physics has already demonstrated that reality is not fixed, that subatomic particles can change their state depending on observation, and that consciousness influences the physical world. This isn't empty spirituality. This is a laboratory experiment. The observer effect, studied for decades, shows that reality responds to perception, which means your life, your experience, your reality have always been under your control. But they never wanted you to know it. Because once you realize that the power has always been within you, you stop being a prisoner. But even after discovering that reality isn't what it seems, there's one obstacle that prevents most people from truly awakening: their own mind. What happens when you try to change, when you try to break the pattern? Immediately, a flood of thoughts rushes into your head. This is nonsense. It's not for me. It's always been this way. What if I fail? What if it goes badly? These thoughts arise automatically, like a conditioned reflex. But here's the secret: you are not your thoughts. The greatest illusion of the mental matrix is to make you believe that your mind is you, that everything that flows in your head is real, true, and definitive. But your mind isn't a conscious entity. It's a survival mechanism, a system that has learned to operate in repetitive patterns, always reacting to the past and projecting fear into the future, and that's exactly why you suffer. The conditioned mind is always stuck in a cycle of past and future. It makes you relive old pains, replay traumas, and worry about things that haven't even happened yet. You identify with these stories and begin to believe they define you. But what if you could detach yourself from these thoughts? What if you could observe your mind working without being sucked into them? Let me share a story with you. A disciple asked his master, "Master, my mind doesn't stop. It torments me with thoughts of the past and the future. How can I be free?" The master replied, "Look at that river. It flows continuously, doesn't it? But you are not the river. You are just sitting on the bank watching it pass by." The disciple looked at the river, confused. "But Master, what about thoughts?" The master smiled. "They are like water, always flowing. But the problem is that you jump into the river and let yourself be carried by the current. You struggle, you sink. But if you simply observe without reacting, you will realize that the river continues to flow, but it does not carry you with it. This is the key. The mind will never stop generating thoughts, but you can choose not to be carried by them. This understanding is part of a profound teaching called non-duality, found in the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. But what does it mean? It means that the idea of a you separate from everything else is an illusion. Your mind has created an identity, a self that carries with it memories, beliefs, stories, and traumas, and you have clung to this identity as if it were real, but it is not. Spiritual masters have always taught that true freedom comes when you realize you are not the mind, not the ego, not the story you've been told about who you're supposed to be. When you stop identifying with the flow of thoughts, something happens. You return to the present, and the present is the only real moment. Think about it. Where is the past? It exists only in your memory. Where is the future? It exists only in your imagination. The only moment that truly exists, that is actually happening, is now. But the mind doesn't want you to realize this, because when you're in the present, it loses control. When you're in the here and now, you're not worrying about what's already happened, you're not anxious about what's yet to come. You just are, you simply exist. And in this state of pure presence, all suffering disappears. The problem is that we've been taught to live outside of the present. Simply notice that in this very moment, everything is okay. This is the way out of the mental matrix. The mind constantly pulls us into yesterday and tomorrow, always busy, always distracted. But try to stop for just a moment. Simply feel your breathing, listen to the sounds around you. You are the creator of your life. If you've realized that you are not your mind and that your thoughts are just a program running on a loop, then we've now reached the crucial point. Who is truly in control of your life? The Matrix wants you to believe it's others, external circumstances, the government, the economy, your family, your past. But this is the greatest trap. The true prisoner isn't the one in chains, it's the one who believes they can't let go. Victim mentality is what keeps most people stuck. Have you ever met someone who's always complaining, who blames others for everything that happens to them? I'm this way because I had a difficult childhood. I can't because no one gives me opportunities. I've never been lucky. These phrases may seem harmless, but they are incantations, affirmations that shape the reality of those who utter them. And here's the secret the great sages have always known. You attract what you believe to be true. This isn't superstition, it's a universal law. When you see yourself as a victim, your mind searches for evidence to reinforce that belief. You begin to notice only obstacles, problems, and limitations. But when you take full responsibility for your life, something changes. You begin to see opportunities, stop waiting for someone to save you, and realize that you are the creator of your experience. This is co-creation. They walk into any situation and doors simply open for them. They meet the right people. They experience incredible coincidences. It seems the universe favors these people, but it's not luck, it's frequency. They vibrate in a way that attracts exactly what they desire, and you can do the same. The problem is that most people want to change their reality without changing themselves. They want wealth but vibrate with scarcity. They want love but vibrate with loneliness. They want freedom but live in fear. And life doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are. Free will is the key to all of this. You can choose to continue playing the victim, or accept that everything that happens to you, in some way, has been attracted to your own vibration. This can be difficult to accept, but it's also liberating, because if you've created your reality up until now, you can recreate it. And this is where we begin to talk about awakening. Leaving the matrix doesn't mean fleeing to the mountains or living isolated from the world. It means waking up to the truth that you were never truly trapped. People confuse awakening with enlightenment, but awakening is only the first step. When Buddha attained enlightenment, he wasn't struck by a divine lightning bolt. He simply stopped seeking outside what had always been within him. Jesus said the same thing, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." But humanity has spent centuries looking to the sky, waiting for a salvation that was always within each of us. Awakening doesn't transform you into a perfect being, it simply opens your eyes. You realize that your emotions are not you, that your mind is not you, that the stories you've told yourself about who you should be are not you. And for the first time, you see things as they truly are. But here's the most important part. Awakening isn't a one-time event, it's a process. You don't have to wait for a huge revelation to change. Small daily changes already begin to dismantle the illusion. The simple act of observing your thoughts without reacting is a huge step. Practicing presence, consciously choosing what to feel, what to say, what to believe. All of this is part of awakening. And when you wake up, reality shifts. You no longer live as before. You feel the difference. The same situations that once unbalanced you now seem insignificant. What once irritated you now simply fades away like the wind. You realize you've always had a choice. The Matrix wants you to forget it. It wants to keep you on autopilot. But now that you've seen it, now that you understand the game, do you really think you can go back to sleep? The connection with the sacred, God, the universe, and the cosmic order. But realizing the illusion isn't enough. Now that you've seen the Matrix for what it truly is, the question is, how do you get out? How do you break the invisible system that keeps you trapped? The answer lies in deprogramming. For years, your mind has been trained to operate on autopilot. You wake up and grab your phone before even getting out of bed. You consume information without discernment. You live on autopilot and react to situations the same way, over and over again. But each of these actions strengthens your mental prison. And if you want to escape, you must reprogram your consciousness. The first key to this is inner silence. The Matrix thrives on noise. Your feed never stops. Your mind never stops. Your attention is constantly diverted. But it is in silence that truth appears. This is why meditation is so powerful, not as a distant mystical practice, but as an act of disconnecting from the noise and reconnecting with yourself. If you've never meditated before, start small, just 5 minutes a day. Simply close your eyes and observe your breathing. Don't try to control anything, just notice. At first, your mind will scream, trying to pull you back into old patterns, but keep at it. Little by little, you'll begin to notice that there's a space between you and your thoughts, and it's in that space that freedom begins. But it's not enough to simply silence your mind. You have to choose what nourishes your consciousness. The second step is digital fasting, because the system feeds on your attention. With every notification, every sensational headline, every pointless debate, your energy is drained, you're manipulated without realizing it. And the only way to break this cycle is to disconnect from the external noise and reconnect with your own energy field. Try spending a day without social media, then an entire weekend, and observe how your mind reacts. At first it might feel uncomfortable, as if you're missing something, but you'll soon realize that the real loss was all the time and energy wasted feeding yourself empty stimuli. Once you've eliminated what doesn't serve you, you can begin to reprogram your mind with what truly matters. Everything you believe about yourself was put there by someone else. Your beliefs about money, love, success, happiness, everything has been conditioned by a system that never wanted you to know your true power. Now is the time to change it. Use conscious affirmations to reprogram your mind for the reality you want to create. Write down new truths and repeat them daily. I am free. I am prosperous. I am aware. Say them with conviction, feeling the truth behind the words. Your subconscious mind, it doesn't distinguish between reality and imagination. If you change your vibration, your reality has no choice but to follow, because everything in the universe responds to the law of vibration, and the frequency you operate on determines what you attract. If you vibrate fear, you attract more situations that reinforce that fear. If you vibrate abundance, you begin to notice opportunities everywhere. If you vibrate presence, you begin to experience life in a completely different way, and when you change internally, the external world has no choice but to follow. But there's something even deeper in this journey. There comes a point where deprogramming is no longer just changing beliefs or habits, it's about something bigger, reconnecting with who you truly are. And this brings us to the connection with the sacred. The Matrix wants you to believe that only what can be seen, touched, and measured is real, but that limitation was imposed to keep you away from what truly matters, the mystery of existence. The difference between religion and authentic spirituality is simple. Religion imposes a path, a set of rules, a closed belief system. Spirituality, on the other hand, is a journey of discovery, an internal process of reconnecting with the divine essence that has always been within you. The ancients called this essence logos, Tao, the universal principle. Something that cannot be explained but can be felt, something that belongs to no doctrine but is present in all of them. Connecting with the sacred doesn't require complex rituals. It happens in the silence of a conscious breath, in the warmth of the sun on your skin, in the full presence of the present moment. It is in everything, but can only be perceived when you abandon the illusion of separation. Because this is the greatest truth. You were never separated from the divine, you were only taught to believe it, and once you understand it, your life will never be the same again. Because awakening isn't something that happens only in your mind. It transforms the way you feel, the way you see, the way you exist. Now that you've seen the truth, now that you've seen the illusion, there's only one question. What are you going to do with it? Because knowledge without action is useless. Many people discover all this and still live the same way, knowing they can change, but choosing to remain in the old patterns. Fear of the unknown holds them back from taking the next step. But you are no longer unconscious. You can no longer pretend not to know. If you apply this, your life will change forever. The people around you will notice. Your reactions will change. Opportunities will appear. Not because something magical has happened, but because you have changed internally. And when you change internally, the external world has no choice but to reflect that change. But don't expect everything to be perfect. Awakening doesn't mean you'll never face challenges again, or experience fear or doubt again. It simply means you now know that none of it defines you. The paradox of awakening is this: everything changes, yet nothing changes, because the world remains the same, but now you see it in a completely different way. Remember, true revolution doesn't start outside, but ignites when you choose to no longer settle for old answers and decide to listen to that authentic voice that has long been whispering to you that you are much more than what you believed until now. Carry this awareness with you. And if what you experienced in this video touched you deeply, leave a like. Write "I choose myself" in the comments. Because every real change begins when you decide, in your story, to be the protagonist. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a step on this journey together. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the time, courage, and trust you have given. I hope your life always shines with that unique light that only you can give to the world. And may each day be a new beginning, radiant and conscious. I hope your life always shines with that unique light that only you can give to the world. And may each day be a new beginning, radiant and conscious. See you soon.